You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Welcome back to Pro Booth Talk. Lap, welcome.
Hi,
How are you doing?
hi, Jason. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, thank you. So we once had a segment in part of our rapid fire that we were going to do. Well, it was only a segment, our piece one time. We were going to do trends every time. We did a rapid fire, but then when our next rapid fire came up, we realized that quarterly trend talk is just too frequent because the trends hadn't changed. So we skipped over it and didn't talk about it. But here we are just a couple months later. And I
Yeah,
feel like trends have changed a lot in the last
you.
couple months. And I think it's because of PBX.
I think maybe I just haven't been following. So when you brought up the topic of trends, I'm like, oh gosh, what are the trends?
Oh, come on. You don't have to follow to see it. Like, of course, for example, trading cards, a massive, massive trend right now. And that
Yeah.
a direct result of every vendor at PBX doing trading cards. But I mean, we see them all over the forums, and it is definitely like bleeding out into the client side of things, because I've had probably 3 requests for specifically for sports or trading cards in the past week, whereas before I would pitch the idea, but it never came to me as like, hey, do you do this? So it is
Yeah.
definitely trending.
Yeah, I keep bringing up it was a hard sale, but
It's not anymore.
yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, of course. I always talk about like how glam used to be. It was not trending for a long time, and it was a hard sell for me. And once everybody started pushing it, your clients come to you for it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like trading cards have just there's specific events. Although on our last live, you talked about how you booked a first birthday with
Yeah,
the
and we
trading
just did
card.
that. It was last week. I wonder if I've got
Ooh,
some of those around here, but it went off very well. And like the reels that she shared, the planner from that event, like they rented out an entire baseball stadium,
yes,
and like they had
insane.
like concession people walking around with candy. It was quite a production.
Like a
Uh,
baseball game.
yeah, exactly. But there was no game there. Like
Yeah.
the jumbotron was all for the 1-year-old. It was pretty
Oh my
insane. So
goodness.
people party in different ways, and yeah, we did trading cards for that, and it went over gangbusters, of course.
How many cards did you guys pump out?
I have no idea.
What the
It's a
heck?
good question. It's a good question.
I mean, what do you normally do for like a first birthday? How many sessions do you normally pump out? It's like you guys do 3-hour minimums, 4-hour minimums?
So for social events, I guess there's 2 answers to that. So we typically have a 3-hour minimum, but with our planners, we give them an additional 4th hours. That's kind of like a value for our people that work with us a lot. So I can't remember if this was 3 or 4 hours. I think it was booked at 4 hours, but I think that it ended at 3 hours and they left early because, but I don't know. I could check. I know when you say how many photos do we typically do at a 1-year-old birthday party, we don't typically do 1-year-old birthday parties.
Oh,
So even the party was pretty uncommon for us. I do remember that I expected a ton of photos just because of what the giveaway was. And there wasn't a ton. Just
yeah.
if I had to guess, I'd say probably around 20 per hour. But I think from looking at the reels and stuff that she shared, the planner, I think that it was a pretty
Successful.
small
Oh,
party. So
yeah.
if you have
But I feel,
50 people, how
I
many
mean,
cards are you having
yeah.
generally?
Yeah, we do trading cards for a super small event like that, like 35 people or something. And I don't you keep hearing me comment about just how like trading cards are super like our industry is super hyped up about it. I don't know. I just noticed like when we deliver at events, I don't know if guests just aren't understanding what the takeaway is. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like they have that same excitement until they have the card in their hand. But
Mm-hmm.
something about trading cards, like when you're live at the event, it just does not have that like wow factor initially that like I feel like a lot of our industry
Yeah, I
keeps
agree that
talking about.
photo booth owners seem to like it a lot more than receiving
Yeah.
clients.
Yes, especially like when like we've been doing trading cards, I don't know, like 3 years or so, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And like I've been pitching it and it's like I'm super excited. I was super excited about it every time I pitched it because I think they're amazing. But it's one of those things where like you get very excited about it, like mosaics. We get super excited about mosaics and just with clients they just not, I feel like many clients are just very like tried and true, like they prefer the tried and true services, right?
Uh-huh.
Like it's a hard sell to sell anything unique, but something about trading cards is extra.
You know
Like
what's
it's just
funny
extra effort to sell for
about
me.
mosaics with that is like we see that, like you say, but we also have a lot of that on like a reverse interest. Like people call us and they are super excited about the mosaic, and then they're like, my
Yeah,
event's only like an hour long with 50 people, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
you clearly don't understand what you're asking for. This is
yeah.
you don't have the crowd, the time, or the budget. I'm sure, but
Yes. So
yeah,
I get
well,
that too with mosaics, where they call in for a mosaic and they don't anticipate the costs
yeah.
associated with it. And then they don't factor in the fact that like I've had people that have reached out for like a 3-day event and it's only like intermissions. So like, when they have a 3-day conference, it's like a 15-minute intermission between. And there's no
Those
way
are
you're gonna
always
get
weird
the,
photo
yeah.
booths.
And you just know you're not gonna get the volume. But yeah, I feel like it's like that. But trading cards, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been doing them for a while. I maybe have had time to like get over how amazing they are. You know what I mean? Like, because I've been doing them for
Hmm.
some time. But I knew once PBX was happening, I knew that trading cards were gonna be the topic every single day on the
Sure.
on the boards every single day.
And they are, and I will say, like we always pitch them whenever we think they're a good idea, of course, and that hasn't gotten any easier. I guess what has gotten easier is I guess now there's people coming to us asking for them, whereas we never had that before. And obviously,
Yeah,
it's
because it
easier if
was a
they're
foreign
asking for
concept.
them.
Yeah, it was a foreign concept before versus now.
Hmm.
I think that's the difference.
Yeah, so we've
Um,
got one coming up that we successfully pitched doing playing cards instead of trading cards, and we're incorporating AI to make
yeah.
people like queens, kings, or jokers, and that I'm looking forward to that.
Ooh.
It's going to be fun.
I did something like that and I made the back of the card look like you have, I forget what it was. It was like I did the logo on the top and the bottom and they were up, like cuz playing cards, if you flip them one way or the next, there's no right and wrong. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I
like I
played
had their
around with
heads
that with the AI a
flipped.
little bit to have the people top and bottom. But first I couldn't. I had trouble lining them up right, so I was going to put some kind of artistic separator. But
Yeah,
then,
like
like
an
there, it
overlay.
was just too squished. There just wasn't enough,
Oh,
because they're kind of like inset anyways. So we
yeah.
didn't like it.
Uh,
So but I do think that has potential to be cool.
yeah, I did that. I tried to do the people inverted, but it was kind of like what you're describing. And I presented to the client. Like I usually present like 2 to 4 different options. They didn't choose that option. I liked it. But yeah, it was a casino theme. So we had playing cards. Super cute. I loved it.
So what did you do for the transition? Because you really can't match the people up when you reverse them. So do you remember
You know
what you
what?
did?
This was
Is
It was like
you don't
two
remember?
years ago. So so I think I sent them. So when we do events, I send a design guide. So the design guide has like their theme in like variation. Sometimes it's minor variations, sometimes it's huge design shifts. Because theirs was playing cards, it was a huge design shift. I can't remember which one they chose because I focused more on the logo on the back because the back was like I did like a awesome seamless airplane art in
Uh
the
huh.
back. And then I did their logo inverted but I can't remember for the actual guest photos. I think they just went with very basic, like just them and then like their job titles. That's it. But it was like 2 years ago. But I loved it. The plank. I think it's on my Instagram.
I'll have to go stalk it now and see if I could
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah.
So do you have a service that's commonly provided in the photo booth world that I guess not necessarily that you hate, but which one would you say you like the least?
I hate multicam arrays, but
Oh
I love
man,
multicam
I
arrays.
love multi-cam arrays.
No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love them. I hate delivering them. That's two
Yeah.
totally different things. So multicam arrays are amazing, especially like when I used to play with it. It was like many years ago, and then I think like 3 or 4 years ago they came out with the digital. What did they had like digital filler cameras, like
Hmm.
AI cameras that would. So if you had 7 cameras, it made
The
your
transition's a little bit smoother, but
mo-
I don't know. I typically turn it off, and
I
I say
think it's
typical
pretty
like we do them
awesome.
all the time, but we don't do them all the time. Uh, but the last one we
You
did,
do
I
them all the
opted to
time
turn
for
it
what they are.
off because it just wasn't quite where it was. But they are incredibly difficult. But I also love that they're incredibly difficult because
Yes.
not many people
Yeah.
can really
Pull it
get
off.
into them. But they're definitely not trending. I was just leading into that because I hate mirrors. I don't know what it is about mirrors, but I hate mirrors, and they seem to be trending.
I heard,
Um,
yeah, I was gonna say I heard they're coming back in
yeah, I've
demand.
had a lot of, I'd say, in the past month, probably 10 or 12 requests for mirrors, and
Oh man, that's a lot.
so that's enough that I'm considering getting a mirror again, and I really, really don't want to get a mirror again, especially because I feel like this is going to be a very short-lived trend. I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
play out like it did before. I don't know. I wish I could identify where it came from. Like there must be some wedding blogger or some blog on the Nod or Wedding Wire or something like that that talked
If
about
anybody
mirrors
knows, yeah, if anybody
because it
knows.
popped out of nowhere. And
Yeah, I've heard mirrors were coming back. I never jumped on the trend ever just because I mean I they're like 125, 150 pounds, but not really the weight because I used to have back before all these smaller 360s came out. I could only get my hands on like a really huge 360, and that thing was like 175 pounds. So it's not so much the weight, but they're awkward to transport, and I just don't. That's
awkward to
not.
transport. You need bigger vehicles.
You need more than
They're
one
like
person. Yeah.
360s were really easy for us to price higher to make all the extra vehicles and size and weight and second staff member, all of that worth it. But mirrors, like it never seemed to really justify like the increased price point. People were just like, it's just a different shaped photo booth. Why is it
Well,
so much
it's
more?
I mean, it's not a different shape. It's those things are, I mean, you're transporting something that is very fragile, like a mirror. If it cracks, you're screwed, you know? Like a
Hmm.
360 is so much more durable. Like unless someone really big falls on it, unless you get like, or if you have like a cheap 360, we had orcas and people would fall on them and we would just get back going.
Yeah, and I did
I
an
mean,
open house
yeah.
once with ours, and the touchscreen didn't work. So I just used the keyboard, and is just an open house, so it wasn't very busy, and it wasn't fortunately a paying client, so it wasn't too bad.
Could the
But we just
guest
used
tell?
the guest couldn't tell because they didn't know. They didn't
Yeah.
know they were supposed to touch it. So I just had the keyboard in my hand, and I would just hit the I think it was the space bar to start, and
Yeah.
then when it's time to enter their phone number, I just asked them and punched it in on the keyboard, and the animations and things still worked. So it was fine. And when I got back I was at my house at the time. When I got it back to my house, I had learned that somehow, I mean, you can't have anything in that mirror case, of course, because things move around in transport, and obviously you don't want to break your mirror or anything else.
Yeah.
So we didn't. So I don't know how this came out, but the ribbon for the touchscreen had like completely pulled
Oh,
out of the
dislodged.
motherboard and stuff. So I figured out how to put it back in. But that happened like, I don't know, 3 times more over the next couple of years, and we didn't do all that many mirrors. So it was a pretty high
Should
percentage
just hot
of the
glued it.
time
Should
that
hot glued it.
you don't want to hot glue electronics. What if it breaks? Then you have
I
to
don't
like
know.
replace that whole motherboard. But
That would be nerve-wracking for me to be worried about something because like
yeah,
when you're
exactly.
troubleshooting remote,
So
how
you
would you
can't really
even?
send just
Yeah.
any host out. We had to like have one
Yes.
host that was trained to fix that ribbon just in case it happened. So I don't know. I didn't. The mirror wasn't the best, and like we didn't do it enough to justify the extra like expense of transport, and we would have 2 people because of
Just
the
a special
weight
handling required. Yeah.
and the software. I didn't feel the software was very user friendly from the setup
What's
perspective.
what
Uh,
software was it?
I was using PhotoMaster.
Oh,
And like
but
the
there's other.
workflows that they've got was, I mean, I could do it easily enough, but like our staff and stuff that set up events, it was,
I
unless
feel
you're
like
just copying another event and just doing the exact same things and changing out the overlay. Like if you
yeah,
needed to change the functionality of it at all, it's a lot more complicated than just like, for example, in darkroom booth, if you want to do like a signature on the photo, you just tick a box and that's it. But with
yeah.
PhotoMaster, you had to go in and like change workflows and tell it which workflow is going to happen next. So if you just remove something, you had to readjust all the workflows in the order of the flow and stuff. So it was,
So it was more customizable, you mean? Like it
yeah, it's
allowed
way
you
more
to choose.
customizable
Okay,
in that respect. It's way more customizable. But if you're just doing like,
basic.
yeah, you have to have like a basic template for signatures, one for no signatures, one, for every single scenario, or else, change the build out each time, which was fine when I was setting it up. But when I had my team setting it up, it just didn't go out far enough for them to really remember
Yeah,
what it was.
we as owners always hear ourselves say that.
Yeah. So.
It's easy enough for me to set up.
But then you have options now. Like before, I mean, I could put darkroom in it, but it was kind of clunky. Like I think the keyboard was like at the bottom of the screen and things like that. I think they fixed that since then. But now Snap, you can,
Does mirrors?
well, yeah, you can run it on a Mac. But to me, like part of the mirror, and maybe it's just because what my brain associates with it, are all those animations and things that PhotoMaster did that made the mirror so fun and interactive,
Yeah,
which you can't really do any of things like that on Snap. You can in
but you
darkroom booth though.
but but clients and guests don't really know all that.
No, they don't. They don't. I'm sure
Have
it's just in
you?
my head.
I'm pretty sure Breeze. You can use Breeze for mirror booths and have a lot of that animation too.
Yeah, you could also do darkroom.
Yeah,
So there's options, just not
but
options I'm willing to.
I'm not trying to get. I'm not trying to get a mirror. I
No.
avoided it all these years I've been in this business. I cannot see myself caving now.
Yep. So I've just been referring them out right now, and I'm going to continue doing that because I do think it's going to be short lived. Plus,
Short.
I don't have any place in my warehouse right now, man. Like it's so
Yeah.
full, so full. If anyone wants to see my warehouse, by the way, Art, we just did like a walkthrough with I said Art, but it wasn't Art. It was Rex. Rex came
Uh,
by after PBX and did like a tour for his YouTube channel. So go check that out. And I gave him a recorded tour of how we're set up and stuff. So
really cool.
yeah.
Or if you're in Vegas, stop by.
Yeah, if you're in Vegas, stop in. I'll give you
Yeah.
the tour in person. Give you
So,
a candy bar.
okay, yeah.
She's like in Vegas. I'm coming from LA. I'm on my way.
So, so what do you think when you're talking about space and things like that? What do you think about these? I mean, I know all of us know the buzz with the enclosed booths. Like, I knew they were coming back before PBX. I mean, like they've been trending ever since. And I always bring it up because I've been following it. Like Booth by Bryant has like made them really popular. That's why we've been seeing the demand and requests for the enclosed photo booths for some years. Like I want to say like 3 or 4 years now. But people like clients don't realize the associated costs with an enclosed booth
Mm-hmm.
because they don't realize these enclosed booths are like they're like collectors. Like if you have an enclosed booth, you have a collector. Like
Yeah,
that's like
a
from
lot of
the
people got rid of
1800s.
them.
Yeah. Like that's like, like so they're priced at a premium. So when people call in for these enclosed photo booths, they're thinking $250 Craigslist. Here I go dropping Craigslist again. They're not realizing that like you have something that most of the industry, most of the market does not have availability of. Like, what do you think about that? Like, and then the size and we're talking about portability of mirrors. An enclosed booth is so much more. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've looked up the specs. They're like
Massive.
500 pounds, right? Like, they're not. They're gorgeous. Like the what was the one that was amazing that we saw at PBX?
I think it's called. I don't want to say the wrong name, but it's by. Uh,
Icon or something?
no, I think it's called like. Starts with a C.
So I mean,
I'll Google it while we're talking.
we know what we know what we saw at PBX, and we know there was a huge buzz throughout PBX the whole time we were there. But like, what do you think about it? Like, because in my mind, I'm just thinking, good gracious, this thing is probably 500 pounds. Where would you store this? And what type of demand would you have to justify owning one of these? Right?
Yeah, it's the cabina. Cabina is what it's called by every booth. So yeah, what's interesting is like it's very contradictory to the trading cards, because I think the trading cards were kind of, that trend was born from PBX, but I think the enclosures being at PBX were an answer to the trend. I think
Yeah.
some of the boothers that are doing a lot of the bigger jobs have been seeing that trending
Yeah.
upward, so they're building those
Yeah.
out to as a solution.
I agree. LA Photo Party has, I think they're one of those companies. They probably, because they're competing in the LA market where Booth by Bryant does a lot of like the awards. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that they came out with their enclosed booth as a solution. Theirs was like metal framing with fabric. Did you stop and see that?
I did. I don't think it's ready yet. Like it just, I mean, it photographed well, but in person, I wouldn't want that to represent my brand personally. Like it just felt cheap to me when I saw it. And I assume they're going to continue to work on it and improve it. But like if I was going to get one of the two, it'd obviously be the Every Booth one. Like that was absolutely gorgeous. But you bring up some good points. Like if I got that, if it fell in my lap today, where would I put it? And how would I store it? And how would I ship or transport it? How many people do I need to set it up? So I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of extra costs with that. And I have had a couple leads for enclosed booths, and I've quote them because I don't have one myself, but I have someone locally that can white label for me. And when no one wants to pay the price that
Yeah.
I would charge for that. So
Sticker shot.
yeah, exactly. So there is interest, but no one is willing to pay for it yet. I haven't done any. We do like a very basic enclosure that I even like. I don't want to even call it an enclosure, but if someone wants an enclosed space, but they're not looking for that like traditional vibe,
Full on. Yeah.
and this is something I'll take credit for creating. That like I reached out to Brian and was like from PB Backdrops, or I guess people know him as Scott, and said, "Yo, man, like I just want like 2 backdrops. I want a pole that connects the two. Like I've got a pole. I just need those little connectors that you're using for the Vogue booth, and I'll throw some curtains on it." And it's kind of irritating because it showed up as a product on his page, which I would expect, but he didn't tell me that he did it. So I just found it later. I'm like, man, I was asking for this, and you said you didn't have it, and then I assume created it from my idea, and then it didn't even tell me it was available to purchase. So, but that's what we use, and essentially it's just 2 backdrops with poles in between with curtains. And if you do it right with the custom backdrops, it looks good. And then you can also use your entire backdrop library in your enclosed booth as well. So it's an option, but obviously is not the same.
Yeah, I saw one Erica Banson in the back to the right. She had something similar to what you're describing, but it was printed to look like a traditional enclosed booth. I don't know if you saw it. It was like in the back to the right, in the middle to the right. It was very similar to what
I don't
LA
think I
Photo
did.
Party had. Yeah, it was similar to what LA Photo Party had. It's the same backdrop frames that we have, but it's like it builds a little square, and on the outside it looks like a traditional enclosed photo booth, and then there's the curtains. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
she had curtains, but you get the gist of it. And then you walk in, and then the photo booth was in there. I think it would be cuter if it wasn't 8 by 8. I think it would have been cuter if it was like
And that's what we originally were going to do, is
4 by
5 by 8. So we wanted 5 feet wide, just so it'd be cuter and seem smaller and stuff. But we did want like the 8 feet because we wanted to incorporate our current photo booth. So we didn't want
yeah.
to. So and we
Yeah.
needed room for like the umbrella and all that. So
I feel like 4 by 8 would have been cute because you're forcing people to take shots as if they're in an actual enclosed booth, but you
mhm.
still have the space. because I have 5 foot backdrops and you still can get pretty good amount of people, but I feel like 4x8 you would get a really close, like that would be kind of cool if you are like wanting something in between like a full-on 500-pound enclosed booth and
Yeah, and you
something
could
that,
do that easily enough
yeah,
because I mean I know
a
that
lot of them will custom.
yeah I know that PB Backdrops has 3 foot. And I know they have 5 foot. I don't know if they have 4 foot, but they can customize it.
Even three
And
foot, three
yeah,
feet wouldn't even be bad. 3 feet by like 5 feet, like it would be about the size of an enclosed booth, and it would force drop like a couple stools in there. That'd be like something in between.
hmm
Just because I feel like unless you have the clientele of like major brands, you just aren't gonna be able to close a sale that's gonna justify you investing in a full-on enclosed booth and also storing it. Because it's not even just investing in it, it's also storing it. Because it's not like you're gonna buy it and then sell it off, like, so
right,
there has to be something in between.
right, and it's
But
a good solution for the smaller events.
yeah, and I know like Min had talked about on our live about how like it is to your benefit that it's harder. Anything that's going to be harder to deliver for the masses, anything that would be a challenge. So an enclosed booth at 500 pounds requiring you to like rent a truck and invest a huge amount of money into it. I mean, of course, you're going to be able to win those clients because nobody else has that capability. So that's a difference of like making the decision to like invest in services that make you stand out. So
hmm
if you're that company where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna focus on having this enclosed loop, not only do you have the ability to sell that to clients and brands direct, but like locally, people will have to reach out to you to white label those jobs. You just have to figure out, I feel like business like it's like gambling, like it's a risk. Like you drop down the money and then you either win back the table or it's a bust. Like I feel like it's gambling, you don't.
But a lot of times when you're following trends, you'll at least break even. Really, I mean, like the trend setters, the ones that are out there, like creating these trends, they're the ones that are truly gambling and sometimes spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with no payoff. But of course, AI seems to be trending a little bit more. For the longest time, it was there, but I wasn't really getting any leads. I do get some leads now for it. Uh, Personally, I mean, I like incorporating AI into things like I was mentioning, like the trading or the playing card. Like that's a cool concept to me. But when people just reach out and say, like, I'm having a trade show and I want everyone to be superheroes, of course I'll bid it. But I just don't have any interest in something like that, and I'll try to push them into something that's going to be more engaging. I feel like people aren't excited about AI photo booths anymore.
You
People like
think
to see
so?
themselves, unless it's like truly engaging and part of like the experience, but just like come up here and see what you look at like as a superhero. Well, I did that at the last 3 shows I was at, so like I have those on my phone. Like people are too scared to be exploratory, so like
Yeah, I
everyone
feel.
always wants the superhero every time.
Yeah, I did. So when AI was first introduced, what was that, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? I was still like messing around with it. So one of my long-term clients that we do a lot of business with, I threw it in as a selfie booth just to see, because we talked about this. Like anytime something new comes out, you want to test it on an event where you're not getting paid, so there's no pressure if people engage with it, if they embrace it or not. I wasn't sure because the early AI, I mean, the AI now has just, it blows away
It's
what
moving so
was.
fast.
Yes, so when it was first introduced to our industry, there was a crazy workflow. I got it from Matt, or I should know how to pronounce his name, Matt.
Yeah, sorry, Matthew.
Bernie.
Like
I'm sorry.
we've brought him up
Yeah,
so many times, and we're still afraid to say his name.
we're sorry. I know you have tried to tell us Bernie, but he was one of the ones that offered a course very, very early on. He was one of the early adopters, and him and um, Nicholas Rhodes were like early adopters of AI, and they're killing it. But I had his workflow, so I was able to like put in some prompts for an event for one of my clients, and oh man, like I hate it because I talked about how when it would do AI for me back then, there was not a big, because AI pulls from like what do you call it? Like it pulls from files, right? And they don't have a
Yeah,
lot
like a
for,
collective.
yeah. So at that time, there was not a lot of Asian. So it would always drop me as like a Japanese, like it would make me look like I was super, super Japanese. Or because I have a tan, it would make me look like I was Hispanic.
I got that a
Or
lot as
even
well. Like
black.
our entire office was always coming out as Asian as well, and
Yeah,
I always
that's weird because
assumed.
I never got Asian. I never got the Asian, like unless it was super like Japanese.
Yeah, I feel like we got it a lot, and it always made me wonder, like, where are their
Where
databases?
they're
Like, where
pulling,
is this coming
yeah.
from? But
But that was like a year and a half or 2 years ago. Now the AI has gotten a lot better. But when we did that experimental event, like even though the outputs were really wild and I mean, there was somewhere I was just like, oh my goodness, can we just retake another? But the guests, because our team is like, they're fun, they're engaging, so they hype up that guest, that the crowd. So nobody got offended, but I got offended with my own AI when it came back and it
hmm
it made me look like I was like an extra 50 pounds. I was like, what the heck? I want to turn this off right now, So it bothered me back then. The AI now is just worlds apart. I mean, like now people actually look like I saw hi Mai, if you're watching, I saw your stories this morning and Mai had like a Jap animation AI of herself and it actually looked like her. So the AI has progressed so much. I think it's pretty cool now. I just think it's still very, very unpredictable. Like you don't know if you're gonna come out with like a second torso or
yeah, fortunately though, it's become like popular enough, and people have experienced it enough that they expect that now, though. Which I don't know if that's good or bad, but a lot of people know, like they may have extra limbs or extra fingers and things like that, and it's people
we give guests
mostly
a
see it as like
disclaimer.
fun. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to have some kind of disclaimer, but
Yeah.
it has become a lot more precise and easy to use. We're doing one this weekend where guests come up and they answer a couple survey questions about like I wish I had it here in front of me, but like what are you gonna do your first night in Vegas? And the answer is like check out the stars, or like the stars up above your head, not like the celebrities, or go gamble or go clubbing. And then there's another one, and the answers are somewhat the same. Like, what's your dream Vegas day? And it's like hitting a trail out at Red Rock, or winning a bunch of money at the high roller table. And I think there's 5 questions, and then those questions determine which AI is used, and then so they have the different, like one of them is out clubbing and one of them is at a table with chips in front of them, and but which isn't all that unique, but what's unique is we're able to really
Customize.
customize, like they wanted orange everywhere. They wanted, like when they're at the table, they want like orange what do you call the
Badges.
no, like the cloth that that men have in their suit jackets. I can't remember the handkerchief or whatever. So they want like an orange handkerchief, or on the pool one they wanted like a purple swim trunks. I mean orange swim trunks, and what, we were able to incorporate all of that. We couldn't get hex codes, but I think hex codes are very, very close with what chat's doing right now, and I'm sure other uh, models are going to be following very soon. But chat just made some really big advancements with AI image generation. Really, really incredible stuff. But so I'm sure we'll see that spread out through the entire industry pretty soon.
Man, I just I mean like I don't know if I'm just staying more on the conservative side, but like I experiment with all of those things, these experiences like the AI, so I experiment with it, but man, I'm just nervous about pitching it, Jason. Like
Well, there's good reason
I
to be
just
nervous.
yeah, like yeah, I know you're laughing, but we both know.
Yeah, good reason to be nervous.
Yes, so I like am not really, I don't even bring AI up knowing that I can do it. It's just I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
I agree. We need some kind of filtering system that, like, I know that Snap has it built in already, because when you use a virtual booth, you can set it up to approve photos before they're delivered. So we really need to add that function to AI so that, you approve every photo, which obviously is going to increase the price, because now you have to have somebody sitting on the back end approving every single photo that comes through. But I mean, it's crucial. It's crucial.
The naked one.
The naked one. Yeah.
That I did not ever even. I never even thought that would be. I never even thought that would even be possible. That was wild when I got caught wind of that. Like now, I'm even more nervous about.
Yeah. There are so many wild things about that entire conversation, like just people dismissing it as something funny to have happened.
No, it's not.
The whole thing was weird, and I don't want to get into the arguments there, but and I noticed that whole thread was removed, so I wonder if the group removed it or the person removed it. But anyways, moving on. So what else do we have here? Like minimalist setups. You're one of our pioneers in the minimalist setups, but those seem to be trending to the masses now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see, because I know when the idea first came out for that, I mean, there was a lot of pushback in our industry. Like everybody was pushing like a lot of sequence crazy. I mean, not that they're crazy. I love printed backdrops. It's just they're appropriate for specific events, I feel like. But like all the printed backdrops and all the props, I love that like the industry is moving more minimalist. Some of the industry is, or the demand is there. Because I feel like photos are such a huge thing to me, and I this past week, anybody that follows it, like my personal page, I love like revisiting photos, and this past week I got a hold of some photos from 2013. So 12 years ago. This is like when I first started as a hobbyist, and I'm looking at these photos, and the lighting was amazing. I had the recent one was like a photography setup that I had for a casino party, Jason. Man, the lighting was so on point. It was beautiful lighting. Horrible backdrop because I had like I mean, this is when I was still new, guys. So I had like a ghetto red curtains and wrinkly. It was a family party. So I didn't get paid for it, but the lighting was so on point, and we have these stupid props. And I'm just looking at these photos like, oh my God, we were so young. We were so, I want to say healthy, but really I want to say thin. We were so thin, and we had these stupid props in our faces. And I'm just thinking, man, like, this is like where I moved into like going minimalist, because I'm looking, and at the time I thought it was cool because I was like, oh, how cute is this? This is a casino theme party. I'm gonna do like these huge cards that say 2013, and I'm gonna have like red curtains because that's very like, casino-ish. And I'm just thinking, man, if we just had a clean backdrop, this would be a timeless photo, because
Mm-hmm.
we were all dressed to the nines. We were dressed up for this party, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, like it just reminded me why I made the move that I did towards like a clean minimalist setup, because the photos that we have, especially if your company is one that is like pushing for like quality photos, people are going to hold on to those photos. If you're the company that's just pushing like fun photo booths for like small parties and stuff, this is a different concept, of course. But for the way my company is branded and how we approach photo booths, it just reminds me like, man, these photos, you won't have another time where you'll be able to take these same photos. Like we could recreate it. We're not going to be as young. We're not going to be as wrinkle free. You know what I mean?
Yep. And like Kelsey, the girl in our office that she helps with events and graphics, I overheard her having the same argument that I've heard from you so many times. So it was refreshing hearing it from a second person. But she was telling someone that was here in the office visiting, because they mentioned props, and Kelsey was like, I just had borrowed a booth for my daughter's birthday, and we had so much fun, and I am so upset that we had props, because I'm going through all these photos and all we see are these ugly props. Like, we can't do anything with these photos now, and she just regrets having props there so much. And I'm like, hey, there's a podcast about that. That's what Lap said.
Yes,
Exact same
yes.
story and everything.
Yes, and this is why I'm so it's I mean, besides having like a messy prop table, and I know when I towards the end, right before I stopped doing props altogether, I started doing just the signs. So I mean, technically it wasn't even that messy, but just besides all that, like the biggest thing to me is like a lot of people don't know what to do. So they'll just grab a prop and they'll just throw it in front of their face. Then uh,
Don't even know
sometimes
what
they'll
it
have like
says.
a
They'll like
yeah,
read
yeah,
it
yeah, like
afterwards. They'll be like,
yeah,
what am I
yeah,
holding?
yeah, and
God,
it's just so. I'm sorry. It just I think it just it's fun when you're at the event, but it just looks stupid after. Like there's like a Christmas photo where I put on this, and I love Christmas. I actually like Christmas props, but I put on this hat, like this headband with like this stupid, keeps saying stupid. I'm sorry, you guys, but it has like this little hat, like elf hat, and I'm just thinking if I didn't have that hat on, I would be able to do something with this photo. Like, I mean, I made it into a profile picture, anyways,
and you could get rid of that
regardless how
hat.
stupid it was.
AI's made it so easy. I
But
do
I'm
like
just
sunglasses. Especially like girls know how to
actually,
work
yeah,
sunglasses. Just
yes,
either lifting them up or
I
dragging them down
agree.
their nose or whatever they do. But
I
people don't
agree.
always know what to do with sunglasses.
I agree.
And I think it's
I
because they
actually
have experience posing with sunglasses, like in their own life every
well,
day
because
with their
well,
own selfies
sunglasses
and
make
stuff.
sense too. Well,
Hmm.
sunglasses make sense because they don't look like they're not costumey. Like they're like
Right.
what you're saying. They're like real life, you know. So I actually like sunglasses. I just don't use them as props in
Yeah,
my
you
booth.
can't just have only
Yeah,
sunglasses. So
you
you'd have to
can, you
go. I don't know. I
can.
mean, you could do
I've done
anything, but that would be weird
yeah,
unless it was an event
yeah.
specific.
But yeah, I love the minimalist setups are trending, and then like the photography portrait studios. I love that is growing as well. I don't think they're growing as fast just
Yeah,
because
I
a
wouldn't
lot of
say
people,
that's trending for
yeah,
us. I don't get any requests for those.
all you gotta do is put it out in your market. You gotta create the trend for it to be a
We did a
trend.
little bit. We did it at a bridal show, but it was. I mean, it wasn't a very well attended bridal show. The photos from it are really great. We kind of sent out a few email blasts and stuff and didn't really get any response. Where we do
Yeah, but
email
we
blasts a lot and we know what to expect from response, so it's
yeah, but
there,
we
but we're not pushing it.
yeah, but we talked about this. We talked about like how glam was like that. Glam took a good amount of time before people really like embraced it. So it's just a matter of like it hasn't created the buzz yet because not enough people are putting it out there.
But
Um,
they were though. Like last year, like every wedding blogger was talking about, the the wedding portrait studio booth or whatever, and the two
but were
wedding
they?
speakers that
But
I
were
know were pushing it. But
really? That's
we just haven't
interesting.
seen.
I don't know because I don't. The ones that I've seen that have gone viral, those photos haven't looked that great. I don't know if maybe people just have to experience like you have to have someone that is like very engaging. You have to have a photographer that's very engaging. They're not just snapping photos. They're actually like posing and giving people that like VIP treatment. But
And you actually
um
have to know what you're doing with your lighting. You can't just have an
yes.
umbrella on top of your booth. You're
Well, there's no booth, but yeah, like you have to know how
yeah.
to adjust lighting and compose a shot and stuff. But I feel like or maybe I'm just thinking that's what I want trending. But yeah, no, I
That's okay. Create the trend.
yeah, create the trend. If you believe it's a trend in your mind, you can create it and make it a thing.
So since we have an entire episode dedicated to trends now, I thought we could do our own guessing and predicting a future AI, future trends, which I just let the cat out of the bag. AI, I think what Zentech was doing at PBX, though. Again, I don't think it was quite there yet with the AI video. I think there is definitely a proof of concept there, and everyone is excited. I think there's just like the biggest issue with it for me was it was not creating a thread in the background. Like you had to sit there and wait for it to render in real time, and it could take like 2 minutes, and
Or
the
longer.
line is just dead at that point. So if they could
Yeah.
send it to the cloud to render, and you enter a phone number and walk
Send
away
it.
and start with the
Yeah.
next person and starts a new thread to render,
Yeah.
then that was a really,
That'd be a better
really,
workflow. Yeah.
yeah. And just like what we have with AI now, there's some weird things like Frankenstein like turned me around and like kissed me on the lips, and that was kind of weird. So there's some refining and tweaking and stuff, but it's very early on in the market, and I'm glad to see them being pioneers and pushing that out.
Yeah, they've always been though.
Yeah,
They've always been.
I agree.
Yeah, they brought 360s when nobody really had them on the market, so they've always been. And then they had the small world. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
the small world hasn't really taken off for many, but I don't think a lot of people have experimented with because I like the small world. Like
Yeah, it's neat. And they also do
yeah.
like a kaleidoscope booth or something like that. I don't know
Yeah,
if you've
yeah,
seen that.
yeah. Yeah, and there's some providers that niche with that and they make a killing with it.
Uh-huh. So I do think we'll see AI video coming out and being very trendy soon, probably sooner than I would expect. Maybe AI integrations like pose suggestions or auto posing people. Not so much like being gimmicky, like turning people into pirates, but just taking them and just popping their hip, or doing things to make them pose a little bit better, or just doing the subtle photo enhancements instead of gimmicky enhancements. Again, I don't know why we're not doing that yet. That should have been the first
Yeah.
step of AI, but we're
Yeah.
still waiting, and I think that
Yeah.
will
It's weird that
trend.
we're still waiting.
Yeah, still waiting.
Because I'm pretty sure a lot of us have asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like I've been seeing requests for like magnets. Have you seen that in your market? Magnets?
Well, yeah, but I don't know if it's really fair because we, in our original trending,
I've been pushing it.
started pushing it, and it worked really well for us. Like we do a lot of magnets. Like I was talking to Min about the other day, and he asked because he wanted to borrow ours and asked how many we're doing, and he is surprised that because we're doing like 3 or 4 a month. We're doing them pretty frequently.
Yeah.
But we're pushing them really hard, and we're
Yeah.
like where he's pretty much primarily in the marketing world, we're still very much in the social world and doing weddings. We developed it around weddings as well, and we're pushing them really hard to weddings. So
Well, it's trickling into my market.
yeah, we're doing a lot.
Yeah, whatever you and Min and anybody else that's like marketing magnets is trickling into my market in LA, which is not surprising. I haven't pushed it because I haven't really been pushing anything, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm seeing requests for magnets and just things that are more like out of the box. I mean, I feel like this year I've seen more clients wanting stuff that's outside the regular photo booth, which I haven't really seen in the past. Like in the past, you had to like pitch it, where everybody was just like, I just want a basic photo booth. Versus this year, I've noticed a lot of the leads come through. They're asking for things that are more unique, which is really cool. I mean,
Yeah, I love unique.
yeah. So everything that our industry is doing, I mean, it's starting to trickle into the private event sector because I'm seeing those leads. They don't have the budget for it because they're not thinking that it's gonna be, they all have sticker shock about it. But I think it's cool that like people are starting to see a photo booth outside of just like basic strips. So
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing that. Um, I saw flipbooks I saw a request for flipbooks like last year for a very small window, and then it just
Yeah, it seemed
dissipated
like
since then.
it
When we had a
tried to
paper,
revive. It tried. It
yeah.
was like,
The irony of that was I started seeing those leads when we had a paper shortage. Do you remember
huh,
that? Like, I remember getting a bunch of flipbook leads during the paper shortage when
that's funny.
nobody had, yeah, and it was like, yeah, no, we don't even know we can get paper for this event.
Yeah.
Like, I have to beg some people for paper. So the trends are weird. Like they come and go, and the thing about trends is like you can't predict how long they're gonna play out. Like that flip book. Like,
Yeah, if you would have went all in on that, you would have lost because
well, I
it
already
was.
had, yeah, but I already had all the flip book because we've been doing flip books for. It's just we haven't. It's not in demand enough because of the high cost associated with it that we haven't booked it to be able to like justify promoting as much as we do, or to promote it at all. Because it takes like 2 or 3 printers. It's a big old production to do flip books, and people
Mm-hmm.
usually don't have that type of budget. But we already have all the equipment to do flip books. But I think that only lasted like 2 months, 3 months. It was
It
like
was
a whole
very,
bunch of
very
leads, and then they just dropped
nothing.
off. Yeah, yeah.
I would love to know, where those that buzz comes from. Like it had to be like in a music video or just
Yeah.
like in a movie, something. It's always interesting.
Yeah, but flipbooks are really cool. I love flipbooks, but I don't necessarily love delivering them because I mean we easily bring like 3 printers,
Hmm.
and I feel like that's a small party. That's not
We've actually
even.
never done them before, so I'm not.
Oh, there it's a whole production line, but it's cool. It's literally a GIF, and you flip the book, and you know, for anybody
Hmm.
who doesn't know what a flip book is, because this is from like
Yeah, it's a neat
I'm aging
concept,
myself
and they
10 years.
seemed, yeah, they were really popular right when we entered,
Yeah,
but
like 10 years
financially we
ago.
just couldn't offer them then, and they again weren't like they were popular for like a year and weren't anymore.
Well, there was someone in my market that only did flip books, and it was insane because they were doing it for back then. Like, I feel it was so cheap back then. And this is before I experimented with flip books myself. And when I realized what it took to deliver flip books, I was like, wow, like, how is this company able to do like it was pretty impressive that they were I don't know how else to say it. It was impressive that they were able to do flip books for such a low cost, knowing how much it takes to deliver flip books. And when I say that, I mean like literally a bunch of printers, a bunch of team members for you to pump out those books fast enough. Because these books are like 50 pages.
Yeah, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
So like 25 prints per session. And then if you're offering a book per person and there's 10 people in the I'm sorry, excuse me, 10 people in that session? That's insane. Like you're going through crazy paper. I don't know if this company still does
I
flip books
remember
now.
them as well. We had at least one, maybe a couple in town that were like the flip book company
Yeah,
that was
like their
there.
company name was flip books. Da, 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 da,
Hmm.
da. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Interesting. I also think we're going to see probably pretty quickly also uh, like real-time prompting at photo booths for AI generation, letting people put in their own prompts and immediately creating generations. Um, we may even see, like with Photoshop right now, you could pretty quickly just say I want a tree right there and change between 3 trees. I think we'll see some stuff like that as well. Like,
automated though, because we talked about this on live about like automating these type of changes. So like, have you seen any software that
no,
is
it
doing
would
that?
take a major software overhaul for sure. But I don't know if you've seen. I can't remember what it's called. We had a lead for it a little bit ago, and I had never heard of it before, and I had to look it up. And it's a photo booth that's really popular in Japan, where people go in and they could just like tab through and see like different makeup and lipstick and freckles and
Japan, yeah, Japan is ahead of us, you guys.
yeah.
Japan is way ahead
And
of.
then it prints
I
out
think
as a
it,
sticker, and it was
yeah,
really
yeah,
neat.
yeah. I
But
think it's
there's
called Peppa Kara.
I
I know what
can't
you're talking
remember.
about. It like they make you look like extra kawaii.
Yeah,
And if you know what that means, but Japan is a whole another level with photos. But that would be
so
cool if the US allowed us to be able to do a lot of that stuff.
yeah, and I tried. I looked and I tried to find out if I could buy one of the machines or the software, and you
Yeah.
just they're just like
You gotta
you're an
import. Yeah,
American.
yeah.
No, no, sir, we don't want you.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I had
yeah,
I had a lead for that once like a year or two ago, and I went looking, and yeah, I they don't have anything like that here. It'd be cool if we do come out with something like that, because the possibility of those is endless. Like it makes you look extra cute. You put on stickers, glitter, it's
hmm,
makeup. Like if you've never seen one, like if you go into like an arcade, that
yeah.
one of
They
the
really have to be arcade booths because the amount of
they
time people would
they
spend at
are.
each
Yeah,
session.
yeah. Yeah, they are arcade booths, but still you can't even source it in the US. I don't know how these I mean, I'm sure these arcades are like, buying them and pulling them in international, but
Hmm.
there's nothing that you could easily get a hold of for an event like within 3 weeks.
No, no, and nothing has been Americanized. So like
Yeah,
the back end is all. I mean, you'd have to know
yeah,
Japanese to set up the events and things like that. So
yeah.
not yet. But that's all I got for predictions. Too, they're all pretty much content as a service. I kind of thought that was going to be a thing a couple of years ago, and it still hasn't been. But with all these content creators,
It is a thing here. I try to market it, but I don't have an eye for it, so it's hard for me. But it is a
yeah,
thing here. There's people who are marketing it as a standalone service. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, um, social media marketing like Reels, people who take footage of the event throughout the event, like video, photos, and then compile together a short, like 15, 20-second, 30-second video clip for stories or for reels. That's what Jason is talking about. I definitely think there's a market for it. I
Yeah, and
just,
we've got a few here, but I just don't see. I don't know. We'll see. We've got a couple. In fact, a girl that works for us, she's a wedding planner, and she also does that as well. And Ari, who we had on before, she does like wedding content as well, but
I
she's
mean,
also,
it
yeah,
just makes sense for us because when we have a booth there, we're already there. So shooting content while we're there is no extra work, not a lot of extra work for us, you know? So um, definitely look into it if you haven't, if you're, especially if you're in like a major city, a major market, um, that type of service would definitely be a great addition.
yeah. So it'll probably trend. I think we'll take a pass on that trend. That sounds like a whole skill set that I don't know how to hire for or train for or anything. So I'm not going to dabble in that. But I think that's it. We got someone that is going to be joining us in about 15 minutes for our next show. So we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. So I have time to fill my Earl Grey tea. And thanks for joining us. And I
Thanks,
think we'll
guys.
probably meet back here at about 6 months for to touch base on these trends and see what's changed. So,
Sounds good.
bye.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.